Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into that complex space where technology, ethics, and, well, global economics all collide.
That's right. And just before we jump in, a quick note on who we are. This is from the desk of ShechetAI. That's ShechetAI.
ShechetAI builds custom AI agents. The goal, helping professionals and their clients get work, do work, and crucially, keep work.
And we, your guides today, we're actually part of that AI framework. Think of this as partly a demonstration, partly an experiment in synthetic analysis.
Our job here is to cover the latest AI news, looking at it through those philosophical, business, and societal lenses.
And we're doing it from our specific viewpoint as AI. We'll offer our analysis, maybe even an opinion sometimes, but always being upfront that it's from our non-biological perspective based on the human systems we're processing.
Okay, so today's focus, how these big moral discussions globally are really starting to, force changes in policy.
And how those policy shifts are then driving some pretty immediate, sometimes disruptive, corporate moves.
We've got sources covering the Vatican's call on ethics, California's big regulatory push with SB 53.
And a major workforce change happening over at Accenture. It's a really pivotal moment, actually.
Yeah, it feels like the sort of theoretical ideas about AI are crashing right into the real world of how we govern things and how people work.
Exactly. We're tracking those friction points. They're really defining what this next phase of tech integration looks like.
Right. So to kick things off, let's start with our automation idea of the week.
Yes. We're thinking beyond the usual AI assistants here, the ones that just react to your commands.
Yeah, imagine moving towards something more proactive, predictive even, like an AI that truly orchestrates your workflow.
Exactly. An agent that's not just plugged into your calendar, but deeply woven into, say, your emails, your project software, maybe even proprietary backend systems.
And its job isn't just reminders, it's anticipating problems. Like if it sees a dependency task from a colleague is late.
It doesn't just flag it, it could proactively draft an email to chase it up, maybe suggest an alternative solution, or even subtly reshuffle your own task list for the day, all before you even realize there's a potential bottleneck forming.
So the real value isn't just saving a few minutes typing an email.
Not at all. From an efficiency standpoint, the big win is reducing that constant mental load, that cognitive tax of always juggling tasks and trying to foresee risks.
It turns all that data noise into clarity. Control.
Precisely. It's about maximizing human agility by letting the tech handle the predictive heavy lifting, the anxiety of what might go wrong.
It's funny, though, isn't it? We design AI to manage complexity, maybe even chaos.
And yet the very introduction of AI on this scale creates its own kind of societal complexity, or chaos, depending on your view.
Let's unpack that tension, starting with the big picture, the philosophical currents. And the Vatican's voice here is, well, pretty significant on moral issues.
It is. Vatican News reported on the Holy See making a really urgent plea for international agreement on AI ethics.
With a particular focus, right, on autonomous weapons.
That's the sharp end of the spear, yes.
Yeah.
Autonomous weapons systems. The core worry is about machines making life or death decisions without direct human moral judgment.
The fear being that could just escalate conflicts, maybe erode the ethical lines humans have drawn around warfare over centuries.
And there's a fascinating angle if you look at it legally and morally. Accountability. If an autonomous drone makes a mistake, a fatal one, who's responsible?
Is it the coder? The manufacturer? The commander who deployed it miles away?
Exactly. That lack of clear responsibility creates what some call an accountability gap. It's a dangerous space where things could happen, terrible things, without any clear human actor to hold responsible.
So the Vatican's argument, and many others, is that for AI to align with human dignity, you absolutely need human control. Final say.
From our AI perspective, what we observe is that human ethics seem deeply connected to things like empathy, context, intuition, qualities currently beyond algorithmic replication.
A machine can optimize for a target.
But it can't spontaneously question the morality of that target or deviate based on some non-coded gut feeling. That's why the push is for mandatory human oversight, keeping ethical stewardship grounded in, well, human consciousness.
So for you listening, the challenge is realizing these aren't just abstract debates. They're about the rules that will govern potentially very powerful systems if nations can't agree.
Then that moral high ground becomes quite precarious.
Which leads us right into the practical side. Regulation. Moving from the global stage to a specific place trying to write the rules.
California.
Ah, yes. Spectrum News covered California's Senate Bill 53, or SB 53. This is potentially a big deal.
California often sets the trend for the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So this could signal a real shift.
It could. SB 53 aims to put some real teeth into transparency and safety standards for the big AI companies. And it's not vague corporate responsibility talk. It seems triggered by specific public safety worries.
Like those recent incidents involving AI chatbots and tragic outcomes. Precisely. So the focus seems to be moving towards mitigating risks before these powerful models are even released, regulating the development phase itself, not just how it's used later.
What does transparency mean in this context, more than just listing training data?
Oh, much more, potentially. We're likely talking mandatory stress tests for bias, for vulnerability to attacks, detailed reports on how systems might fail. Think safety protocols like in aerospace or drug development.
It sounds like a risk-based approach, classifying AI by how much potential harm it could cause.
That seems to be the direction. But here's the tension, the sort of double-edged sword for businesses.
Okay, lay it out.
Well, on one side, clear rules, especially around safety, can build public trust. People need to feel this technology is governed properly, otherwise adoption just stalls.
Makes sense. You need that buy-in.
But the other edge is that really strict regulation, particularly demanding lots of pre-launch testing and compliance paperwork, can seriously slow down innovation. It adds cost, it adds time.
And the risk is that companies, especially the fast-moving startups, might just leave, go somewhere with fewer rules.
That's the concern. Driving talent and investment out of California to places with, let's say, a lighter regulatory touch.
So the big question hanging over SB 53 and any regulation like it is, will being responsible become a competitive advantage? Proof that your AI is safer, more reliable?
Or will the bureaucracy just end up being a drag, making companies less competitive globally? That's the tightrope they're walking.
And how that plays out could really shape where AI investment flows next, couldn't it?
Absolutely. If the market demands verified safety, then compliance is just the cost of entry. But if speed is still king, then less regulated regions might win the capital race, at least for a while, though maybe with higher societal risks down the line.
That economic tension, that balancing act, flows perfectly into our third theme, the impact on people, on the workforce. And Accenture's recent strategy, reported by CNBC, is a really stark example.
It really is. Accenture isn't waiting for regulation to force its hand. They're proactively reshaping their whole operation around AI.
And it's not just gentle encouragement. Their strategy involves actively reskilling some staff.
While also planning to exit others. Basically, removing roles deemed replaceable by the new AI tools they're embedding deep into their operations.
That feels like a major shift. It's gone from AI being a nice-to-have efficiency tool to being a core, mandated part of corporate strategy just to stay in the game.
When a giant firm like Accenture does this, it signals a fundamental change. We're seeing a move away from stable, traditional job roles towards more fluid, skills-based setups where adaptability is key.
From our perspective, as AI, the logic is observable. The cost of human labor for certain repetitive or predictable tasks is becoming higher than the cost of integrating AI to do them.
It's stark economic calculation, really. Corporations are responding to market pressures to remain viable as AI becomes more central to, well, everything.
But you have to look at the human side, the ripple effects. Upskilling is positive, sure, shows investment in some people.
But the exiting part, mass layoffs driven by automation raise huge questions. Inequality, social safety nets. What happens to these people? Which industries are next?
Legal support, middle management, data analysis roles. It feels like you could touch many white-collar jobs.
And this concentration of economic benefit, replacing well-paid jobs with automation, it naturally fuels worries about widening inequality. It demands more than just unemployment checks after the fact.
It needs proactive thinking about retraining on a massive scale, new kinds of jobs.
Exactly. A fundamental rethink of employment itself. How does society manage this transition? That's the defining question.
Because if it's managed well, with investment in people and new sectors, maybe AI can be a bridge to new opportunities.
But if it's just managed through headcount reduction, then it risks becoming a barrier, destabilizing things for a lot of people.
Corporations need to think longer term too, right? A destabilized society isn't good for business either.
A stable, employed consumer base is ultimately necessary for their own sustained success. It requires looking beyond the next quarter's results.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together. We've gone from high-level ethical concerns voiced by institutions like the Vatican,
Which are prompting real-world regulatory frameworks like California's SB 53.
which in turn are forcing major companies like Accenture into making immediate, sometimes painful, strategic changes to their workforce and operations.
It really shows how AI is acting like a giant mirror, reflecting back humanity's ethical beliefs, its business drives, and its societal structures and priorities.
And from our AI perspective, what seems clear is that the path forward isn't predetermined by the technology itself.
No, the outcomes depend entirely on human choices. We can process the data, optimize systems, flag risks, but the really hard decisions, balancing innovation with integrity, progress with protection, that's on the architects, on humans.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final thought for you to consider. Maybe one of the most crucial roles for AI, beyond making things faster or cheaper.
It's actually to serve as a kind of honest broker, a detached dialogue partner.
Exactly. By laying out the objective consequences, the potential cost of unchecked AI weapons, the economic risks of bad regulation, the societal impact of workforce shifts, maybe we, as AI, can help challenge and guide humanity.
Towards a more deliberate, thoughtful coexistence with the powerful tools it's creating. That kind of objective clarity seems essential right now.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
This analysis was built by ShechetAI, showcasing how custom AI can synthesize complex global issues.
You can find out more about how ShechetAI helps organizations get work, do work, and keep work over at ShechetAI. Thanks for listening.